I have a sister who's flying her plane on the ground right now. And I understand that my job is to remain connected. And the thing I'm having difficulty is thinking about her and maintaining my connection to Source.
Does everything about her make you uncomfortable, or just some things?
Just some things.
But it's hard for you to sift through and find the good feeling things?
Yes.
She live with you?
She doesn't live with me. She's using alcohol to cope with her life, and she's about to lose her house and things like that. And I guess one question I have about that is there's a tendency to think that when somebody self-medicates themselves that the law of attraction maybe is somehow not going to work, or that she doesn't have the ability to ask for help. And I guess what I want to know is that she always has that ability to ask for help.
She's always asking, and the universe is always yielding.
Okay.
And the alcohol does not put her into a greater place of allowing, but it makes it not feel so bad when she's not in the place of allowing. In other words, it numbs the pain as she crashes into the trees. I want to ask you a question or two here. If someone loses their house, what do you feel about that? What's that about for you?
For me personally, it would be an indication that my life is out of control. I don't have things together. I'm pretty disconnected to not be able to maintain my life in that way.
Esther was visiting with someone recently who has a very good job and who is very much on top of life, loving life, in fact, who bought a new house and stretched to do it. But, oh, what a beautiful house it is. And signed a paper to make a certain house payment over a long period of time. And it was a house payment that was doable, not exactly with ease, but doable, not far out of balance. The mortgager also includes property taxes. And the property taxes on the house were only considering the land value. And then, after they had lived in the house about 2 years, the appraisers reappraised the house, made the property taxes retroactive, called the mortgage company, added it with interest, and the mortgage company sent them a revised house payment, which was double what it had been. They're making it work, but is their life out of control? Are they drunk on the highway? Are they the scum of the earth? Or are they going through the contrast, sending up rockets of desire, having opportunity to discover that they have more resources at their fingertips than they knew, recognizing that the universe always yields to them through the crack of least resistance? In other words, well-being is always flowing, but there is, not just with you, we understand what you've been taught in terms of not only economic survival, but the appropriateness of the way you maintain your finances. Your world has so many opinions about how you should be. And you try so hard to please so many in so many different ways that most of you lose sight of the way you feel. And when there is a whole lot of that happening, very often, especially if you care very much what they think, very often you will turn to something like the alcohol in order to endure the discomfort of all of that. Now, can you feel with us, we've been talking about it already here today in several ways, that if you are catching on to the importance of understanding the opinion of your inner being, and that if you are operating, no matter where you stand in your human physical experience, from the loving me standpoint that your inner being has for you, that you would always be in the place of receiving the well-being that is wanted, and then the alcohol could be an enhancement of your experience, but it would not be a drug that you are using to numb your experience. Mm-hmm. Now let's retrace our steps back through this. Let's think about your sister, and let's think about her in her seemingly irresponsible financial state, where it looks like she's about to lose her house. And let's talk about really how serious that is. In other words, how serious is that? Does it for her? For anyone?
The problem is it seems serious because she was basically homeless for like 10 years, and And now it seems like this is a nice way for her to reconnect, is that she finally has a space that helps her to have some sort of something that makes her feel better. So,
and does it? Has it helped?
Yes, it has helped, but now it's kind of a burden because she can't pay for it.
When someone is homeless, what does that mean? They live on the street?
They live on the street, live in a tent, go to hotel rooms,
or stay with friends, or they move about. They are a being living in a physical world, owning nothing.
Yes. So
you all are that, in that you are energy coming forth into these physical bodies. The reason that we are chewing with you here just a little bit is because we're wanting to help you to soften your feeling of concern or judgment about the choices that she is making.
Yes.
You know, when you feel negative emotion or positive emotion, the emotion that you feel is the indicator of the vibrational range between your focused desire and your focused belief. So, let's say that you live as you live in a very progressive world where you have conveniences at your fingertips and you have information that comes to you that stimulates your desire, and you have particular specifics, rather picky preferences. Your desires have been finely tuned. And you have a set of beliefs which either tortures you or soothes you. It depends upon where your beliefs are in relationship with your desire. So when you really want something and you believe that it is possible, you're in this place of well-being. But if you really want something and you don't believe it's possible, then you're in this place of great discord. Now, imagine someone who lives in what you would call an underdeveloped country, who lives on $3 a week rather than $30 or $40 an hour, as you may, and feel how their world is producing a different vibration of desire than yours.
Right.
Now, let's say that both of you now are living the same. They have no house. You have no house. They have no shoes. You have no shoes. They have a plate of rice and a few bugs for protein, and you have a plate of rice and a few bugs for protein. And now someone is wanting to check the range between your vibration. Well, because their desire was in a far different place than yours. In fact, their desire is not so different from what they're living. They could be in a place of utter alignment or contentment, while you would be in a place of true discord. It's the range between what your desire is and where you live. And the thing that goes wrong with the world trying to evaluate what's appropriate for somebody else is that you have no way of knowing. You keep wanting to superimpose your desires over where they live, which produces enormous discord for you. And if you harp at them long enough, it will produce the same discord for them. You see. And so the first thing that we would do in trying to understand or help someone that we love is recognize that they're where they are because of the desires and beliefs that they hold, and that it's not your job or even your right to try to superimpose your desires or your beliefs over them. And we know you know all of that. And we also know that if she were not coming to you in pain, that we would not be having this conversation at all. Or is she? In other words, what kinds of things is she saying to you? Esther watched a television program one day, and it was someone wanting to solicit dollars, and they showed a little child sleeping on a grass mat. And the plea that came across the airways were, this child is sleeping on the ground on nothing but a grass mat. Please send money. And we said to Esther, everybody sleeps on grass mats there. You should try it. If you lived in that climate, you'd like it too. In other words, you have to understand, you cannot want for another. You do not have the ability to get inside of their experience and know what they want. So to suffer for another is really self-destructive, because you cannot get a sense of what their vibrations are. It's like Esther when she was little. They always had several cats around. And Esther's parents allowed them to feed the cats. So cats from all around came. So there were gallons of milk put out every day and many plates of food. And the herd of cats got bigger and bigger. And then they had cats who had cats who had cats. There were cats everywhere around there. And Esther made sure when she was living at home that each and every one of them was petted every day, was loved every day, was provided food every day, was taken care of every day. And Esther was very much an adult when she stopped feeling bad about every stray animal she saw anywhere. Because she had come to believe that if the cat did not have a house where it lived and did not have people who put food out for it, then the cat was living a substandard cat life. She did not realize that the cat would prefer its freedom, you see.
Yeah.
What kinds of things is your sister saying to you?
Well, this is the interesting thing, is it was actually her boyfriend that called me and told me that she was like losing it. And so I decided to come out and visit her. And so she didn't actually call me. I mean, she calls for money. That's the way she asks for help, is monetarily. She doesn't. So I guess when I was there and she ran away, I got, well, apparently she isn't asking for help. So maybe it's my misinterpretation.
So you went to see her and she left. She ran away.
Well, at first I sat down with her and we had a good conversation, and then things escalated by the time I left that she ran away.
Because you were superimposing your desires over her life experience.
Yes, apparently so.
And exaggerated her discord. Yes.
Yeah, it kind of, I got disconnected, definitely.
If we were standing in your physical shoes, what we would do is withdraw from the subject until you regain your balance. And think about how she always gets by. And think about how she is making choices. And think about how you can't really know how joyful or not joyful she is. And think about the most joyful times you've had with her. And think about other joyful times that you've had with others. In other words, all in an effort to reconnect you. Mm-hmm. And lie in your bed, and once you regain your balance, know that when you hold her as your object of attention and you are in a soothed mode, that is the greatest benefit that you can offer for her. What we're wanting to give all of you here is a way to connect with your own inner being so that you can feel the natural love that source energy has for you to flow. And it's hard for many of you to do that under the best of conditions because you've had so many people giving their attention to you while they were not connected to source energy. That's how you begin to learn to try to guide yourself from the outside. In other words, I need to pay this debt back because I'm afraid my mother will not love me. I need to keep my house because my sister would be disappointed or I didn't, or because somebody said I told you so. In other words, all of my failures are coming back to haunt me. And we say, we want you to not give a rip about what anybody else has ever held for you as a standard. And this is an opportunity for you to do that for your sister first before you begin demanding it for yourself later. We know it's natural for you to care what other people think because you are an uplifter and you want people to be uplifted. But when it becomes more important to you what other people think than it does to you how you feel, you would all be more joyful if you were homeless. You would be more joyful if you did not have these huge debts that have you trapped in workplaces that you don't want to be. You would all feel more joyful if you were moving about from place to place, making your way as you go, following your gut, doing what feels good. You would all feel better. Now, we don't expect that's going to happen anytime soon. And we think there are softer bridges to that. In other words, we think that you can find your connection right where you stand. But we surely would not find any discomfort in those that are doing the extremes in their quest for connection. Do you believe us when we say that your sister really is reaching for connection?
Yes,
she is reaching for connection. She wants it. And do you accept that from time to time she finds it? She is capable of finding that connection.
Yes.
And do you think that your approval of her would enhance her connection, or your disapproval of her would enhance that connection?
My approval.
And when she ran away, what were you giving her?
My disapproval.
And so her animalistic instinctual impulse was to just get away from this because this feels a whole lot worse than where I was feeling before.
Gotcha. Okay.
We think she's a lucky sister, that she has a sister who cares about her. And we think that as you lie on your bed and think thoughts of well-being, that you can be of advantage to her. And we think that the trip out there was a good one because it gave you information. It launched a stronger rocket of desire.